My name is Leo Zagami. I'm now 37, soon to be 38, born the 5th of March 1970, from an English-Scottish mother and a Sicilian father, both of aristocratic origin. One represents the Di Gregorio family of Sicily, which is an ancient aristocratic family connected to the sacred Roman Empire, while instead my mother is a Lion family member of the Scottish Lion family, which is also the family of the Queen Mother of England, connected to the Queen. So basically I was born within an aristocratic background. For that reason it was possible for me from an early age to enter what is the world of the elite and what you know as the Illuminati, that are still existing today in various forms and different disguises and different names. But mainly they work for a pyramid of power that ends up in Jerusalem and Rome, and that represents both the Vatican and the Zionist establishment, together united to perform what they would like to be the New World Order, which is the result of their prophetic upbringing into this end-of-time scenario in which they see as a final result the kingdom of God. Now the kingdom of God perceived by the dark Illuminati, as I call them, because we have also Illuminati that are truly illuminated by God, and then we have the corrupt Illuminati, the evil forms of corruption that came into being. And at that point, to regain power, which they did, they unleashed a series of agents around all the secret societies of the time, and they also established and helped establish the Illuminati Order of Weishaupt, which saw within their members some very illustrious characters, like for example Napoleon, who was initiated himself by Cagliostro, Giuseppe Balsamo, when he was a young lieutenant coming from Corsica. And this changed the history of Europe, because the great influence of the Jesuits upon, for example, Napoleon made sure that there was a clear revenge against what was perceived to be the enemies of the Vatican themselves at that time, the Jesuits, a clear revenge towards their enemies inside the Vatican, and this might have been also the Knights of Malta, that in that period with Napoleon lose, for example, their island and their sovereignty on that island.
Okay, can you give me a definition of the Freemasons and how the Freemasons differ from the Illuminati?
The Freemasons come into being from a tradition which is both from the ancient craftsmen. They used to work within the churches, so the people who knew how to construct churches were the Masons. They transmitted this craft, and on top of that, the knowledge to build those churches was a sacred knowledge, and that knowledge was given to them by the Knights Templars, that were the ones who traveled far east and conquered the land of Jerusalem and made sure that for a long time the Vatican was in control of the Holy Land. And so there is basically an ancient tradition that forms the Freemasons, but it's a self-made sometimes tradition with a lot of legends that have been deliberately created to misguide people and manipulate them. So then we have also the birth of the high degrees of Freemasonry, which are typical to what is known as the Scottish Rite system, for example with Cavalier Ramsay, which represented the Stuart family, which was a Scottish family that wanted to get into the throne of England for a long period of time, but the Hanoverians had their best, and the Hanoverians created themselves their own form of Freemasonry. So in a way, Freemasonry was born with these two different oppositions inside, but they were oppositions just for the lower level of the pyramid, because on top everything is united, even the enemies.
You're saying the Freemasons and the Illuminati were united at the top of the pyramid, even back then?
Freemasons are themselves a creation of the Rosicrucians, okay? Now, where do the Rosicrucians come from? The Rosicrucian Enlightenment comes into being in the 1620s with a guy called Jean Valentin André. He spreads these Rosicrucian manifestos that are secretly put in various places where people can see that there is a secret order, a secret college of initiated beings that existed from before. So they claimed that they were already an old order back then. But who are really the Rosicrucians? Well, the birth of the Rosicrucian coincides with the Neoplatonics of Oxford, with what happened when Giordano Bruno, this important Dominican who was also put on the stake later on by the Vatican in the year 1600, the year of the Jubileum, because he was accused of being not only an heretic, but of having used his magic and his evocation power. Giordano Bruno was a guy of great intelligence, and he went around Europe at that time trying to oppose in a certain way what the Vatican was doing, manipulating temporal power instead of spiritual power. That's why Luther came around, that's why the various schisms that were happening at that time. Scandinavia was breaking away, the Netherlands, England broke already away. They were all breaking away from the mother church in Rome. So there was definitely a lot of problems back then. Giordano Bruno went to visit Queen Elizabeth, became friends with John Dee. John Dee, this great magician, this great alchemist. He instructed him on the secrets that only Giordano Bruno knew about certain ancient practices from Babylonia, from Sumerian times. And after that, he traveled also to the court of other characters, the French king, the Spanish king. He met all the aristocrats of the time. But what happened after was that this was the cornerstone, this Neoplatonic society with John Dee, Giordano Bruno, the inspiration of Tommaso Campanella, the inspiration of Roger Bacon before St. Francis Bacon. This is the fundaments that really lead to the birth of Freemasonry. The problem is, after we have the evil Illuminati coming into the picture. So what was the Rosicrucian tradition up until the birth of the Royal Society gets scrapped off the map for terrestrial interest. So what they are trying to do in 1717 with the formation of the first Grand Lodge of Freemasonry at the Goose and the Gridiron pub in London, it's already something corrupt, because the Illuminati, the real Illuminati that preceded them, didn't want in any way to have any kind of deal with the church. While instead Freemasonry was born itself as a deal between the Catholics, the Protestants and other people to meet up in a common ground, which was the lodge.
Okay, but isn't the basic
then we have
spirit behind Freemasonry and behind the Illuminati to be a search for enlightenment? I mean, isn't that the root
what I was saying is that, for example, until the birth of the Royal Society, Elias Ashmole probably was maybe one of the last truly genuine initiates. Then what happened after, but even Ashmole himself was corrupt and was working as a secret agent most of his time, not as a true enlightened being that is there to bring enlightenment. Most of this Freemasonic network started to be used for intelligence purposes, for purposes that were not the purposes probably of the people who originally founded true Freemasonry. And where is true Freemasonry being found? True Freemasonry is to be found in ancient times, at the time of Enoch, who is called the first master of Freemasonry. We talk about Abraham, we talk about the founding of the monotheistic religions, the coming of Moses, the coming of Jesus, and then the coming of Mohammed. All these are part of a series of illuminated masters and enlightened beings that want to bring illumination to this planet. Unfortunately, all the religions and Freemasonry included in all this has been corrupted by mankind. The intentions originally of these systems might be genuine, but these days, for example, Freemasonry, what is Freemasonry? For most people, is a boring club of middle-aged people that go and smoke cigars, have a nice dinner after that, some charity to justify their evil means, they give a lot more they are evil, more they give charity in a certain way to cover up their evil, but this charity is tax deductible, so it's not really like they have no interest in doing this charity. There's always a tax deductible profit being
well,
made.
Is the root of it the Catholic Church trying to earn to basically sort of turn itself into to the rulers of society and owning all the money, and is money at the root of the corruption? Is that your understanding or no?
Well, definitely my experience in Freemasonry, I was initiated on the 13th of April 1993 by Prince Aliata di Monreale in the Order of the Sword and the Eagle. I soon joined the Supreme Council of the 33 Degree. As an aristocrat, I got initiated by a family friend, somebody who was close for many centuries. Their family, the Aliata family in Sicily, is close to the Di Gregorio family. So this, for aristocrats actually passing on high degrees or masterships within Masonic orders is not so unusual. In America is unusual. In fact, a lot of viewers from America, when they see me talking about the Duke of Kent, the Marquis of Northampton, or the Prince in Italy, or the Prince of Monaco, whatever, being in charge of orders, Masonic things, they kind of tend to say, but it's not really how we've been brought up in America, because here Freemasonry is a common thing for everybody. First of all, Freemasonry in America is not for everybody, because there's been a lot of racism, and that's why Prince Hall Freemasonry is born. That's why in the year 2008 we're probably going to have the first Freemason from Prince Hall Masonry to become the President of the United States, which is a 32-degree member, which is Barack Obama. So the thing is Prince Hall Freemasonry taking revenge upon the many injustices they have? Well, at the end of the day, Prince Hall Freemasonry is born to be recognized by the Grand Lodge of England. That's how Prince Hall, the founder, got recognized himself as the first black man to get this charter from England, being able to start this order only for black men, at the time only for black men. And
okay, but what is the significance of that?
The thing is, the Prince of Freemasonry comes into the realm then of being to be subservient. In fact, nowadays it's recognized for the first time in the last, since I think 2001 or recently, a few of the Prince of Freemasonry lodges start to be recognized by England officially. Now they are officially being submitted to the power of the United Kingdom Lodge of England, because when you get the recognition from the United Kingdom Lodge of England, at that point you're just aiming to become part of that chain that is born upon an aristocratic chain, because I said the Grand Mastership is given to the Duke of Kent, the Marquis of Northampton. Who are these people? These people are in reality in charge of holy orders also for the Church, for the Anglican Church, but connected to the Catholic Church, because, for example, the Knights of Malta, when the Reformation came into act, split themselves and became Knights of St. John in England, Knights United Order in Sweden, and a network of Knights of Malta under the sovereign monarch. But the sovereign monarch himself, to wear that cross, is a copyright. You have to pay somebody. Sooner or later, that copyright will always link you to the Vatican, and every sovereign monarch in Europe has been submitted to the Vatican power, even after the Reformation, because they were very clever to say, we want to ask independence. But that was so the king could have many wives, the other guy could divorce, and anybody could do what they wanted. But the root of power is the Vatican also has a bank. And I was a Freemason belonging to the Monte Carlo Lodge, born out of the P2 propaganda lodge of Licio Gelli. The Monte Carlo Lodge, founded by Ezio Giunchiglia, William Rosati, and Licio Gelli back in 1976, and modified during the course of time, stayed as the Committee of Monte Carlo, a representation of senior Freemasons from all various parts of Freemasonry, Grand Masters from various traditions, sometimes officially not recognizing each other, but still meeting there. Why? Because the Committee of Monte Carlo is a weapon dealer's place, because it's all about weapons.
Okay,
it's about the sale of...
It's about economics, it's about running the world.
It's about doing wars, it's about selling weapons, it's about making money. That money goes into banks, the bankers are very powerful, but also the weapon dealers are very powerful.
Okay, but who's at the top of the pyramid? Who specifically? Is it the Pope or is it someone else?